My fiancée texted me saying we needed a break and not to contact her. I replied, okay. Then I quietly canceled every wedding, booking in my name. Weeks later, she called ready to pick things back up only to discover the venue and vendors were already rebooked. The panic in her voice was golden. I, 32, male, am a project coordinator, which is less a job and more a way of life. My world is schedules, deadlines, and risk management. For the past 4 years, my biggest project was my relationship with my fiancée, Sophie, 30. The wedding, a grand, costly event, planned for the fall, was the most intricate phase, mostly handled by Sophie and her domineering mother, Margaret. I was the quiet partner who paid the bills. Lately, a strange tension had crept in. Sophie was fixated on the wedding's details, but seemed detached from the idea of marriage. I chalked it up to pre-wedding nerves. That was my first misstep. A month ago, her text hit like a precision strike. Sophie, hey, I'm overwhelmed with everything. The wedding, us, all of it. I need a break, a real one, to sort out my feelings and confirm this is what I want. Don't reach out. I'll contact you when I'm ready to talk. It wasn't a request for space. It was a one-sided pause of our shared life, delivered via a text. She was shelving me while she decided if I was still the prize she wanted. My project coordinator brain kicked in when a key stakeholder bails. Indefinitely, you don't freeze the project. You terminate the contracts to limit losses. I replied with 2 words, okay. Total silence as she demanded. I decided to give her the break she asked for, a permanent one. That evening, I opened our massive wedding planner and created a new spreadsheet. Project termination. The first call was to the venue, the Regal Crest Hotel. The non-refundable $15,000 deposit was the biggest blow. I spoke to the coordinator, Amelia. Amelia, it's Ethan. We have the Carter wedding booked for October 12th. I'm calling to cancel. I was calm and direct. I acknowledged the deposit was forfeit per the contract and just needed to end the agreement. She was taken aback by my lack of drama and explained that if they rebooked the date, their policy was to refund 75% of the deposit. I thanked her and asked for the paperwork. 1 down. I spent the rest of the day systematically dismantling the wedding. The photographer, Lucas, had a $5,000 deposit. He was decent and said if he rebooked the date, he'd return half as a professional courtesy. The caterer kept the tasting deposit. The florist kept a $2,500 deposit. The jazz band, $1,000. Each call was the same, calm, polite, final. By Friday, every contract in my name was canceled. The total immediate, non-refundable loss was just over $12,000. It was a gut punch to lose that much, but far better than waiting like an idiot while tens of thousands more were at stake. The final piece was my grandmother's engagement ring, a family heirloom I wasn't about to let become a bargaining teat. I went to the bank and locked it in a safe deposit box. The next few weeks were odd. I lived in our shared apartment surrounded by her stuff like a relic of a failed project. When friends asked, I said, planning's paused. Last night, exactly 4 weeks after her text, she called. I let it go to voicemail. A text followed. Sophie, I'm ready to talk. I've had time to reflect, and I miss you so much. I know we can fix this. I'm ready to get back to planning. Call me. The sheer audacity, assuming I was. A paused app waiting for her to hit. Resume was staggering. I called her back. Her voice was light and airy. Ethan, I was so thrilled to see your name pop up. Look, I was a wreck, totally stressed. I just needed to clear my mind. I'm good now and ready to dive back in. We need to book the menu tasting. My mom's driving me crazy. There's no tasting to book, Sophie. What do you mean? Don't be difficult, Ethan. The caterer contract was canceled along with the hotel, photographer, and florist. The silence was thick. What are you talking about? Is this a prank? No prank. You said you needed a break and no contact. A wedding needs full commitment. When you backed out, I shut down the project. All bookings are gone. Her voice tightened with panic. You canceled the Regal Crest? Without discussing it with me? You explicitly told me not to contact. You. That didn't mean cancel everything. It meant give me space. Ethan, that was a $15,000 deposit. My mom's friends are all coming. Call them back. Call Amelia now and fix it. I can't. The date's rebooked. A corporate event. Amelia's sending a partial refund. Check. A choked sob came through. Rebooked? Number. You're lying. I'm not. The Regal Crest is gone, Sophie. So is Lucas, the photographer. October. Saturdays are in demand. My dress. The bridesmaids. My mom will lose it. You've ruined everything. You did this out of spite. No, I did this out of logic. You don't get to put someone's life and hundreds of thousands in obligations on hold while you sort your feelings. That's not how partnerships work. I'm coming over. We're fixing this. My mom's coming too. She hung up. The showdown was just starting. Update 1. About an hour after she hung up, my doorbell rang. It was Sophie and Margaret geared up for battle. I opened the door, but kept the chain on. Ethan, open the store right now. What is the meaning of this childish stunt? Margaret demanded. Let us in. Ethan, Sophie added, her voice sharp. We need to talk about how you're going to fix this mess. The entitlement was jaw-dropping. Not what happened, but fix what you broke. There's nothing to discuss or fix. The decisions are final. This is nonsense. You've deliberately humiliated my daughter. The embarrassment. That's a consequence of Sophie unilaterally pausing our engagement by a text. Sophie's voice dripped with venom. You did this to punish me. I just needed a little breathing room. Where did you go for breathing room? Sophie? Not your sisters or your parents. Where were you for 4 weeks to sort your feelings? Her face paled. I went away with Emma to the beach. It was a lie, and her panicked eyes confirmed it. Look, this is pointless. I'm returning your parents' wedding. Contribution in full. Sophie, text me a time to pick up your stuff. I'll have it packed. Margaret scoffed. She lives here. You can't just kick her out. Her name's not on the lease. She's no longer welcome. Send me a time. I started closing the door. Sophie's hand darted out. My grandmother's ring, Ethan. Give it to me. The nerve. Her grandmother's ring. You mean my grandmother's ring? It's my family's. You proposed with it. It's mine. It's a gift. It was a conditional gift. The condition was marriage. The marriage isn't happening. You're not. Getting it? It's in a safe deposit box. I shut the door and locked it. They're yelling about lawyers eventually. Faded. The next day, the dirty tactics started. Margaret called my dad spinning a tale about me having a mental breakdown. Luckily, my dad saw through it. After I explained the text, the 4 weeks of silence, the ring, he was fully on my side. She froze the relationship and got mad. When you took her seriously, you did the right thing. I'll handle Margaret. That was a relief. But Sophie wasn't done. The next morning I got an email from HR. An anonymous complaint filed through the ethics hotline claimed my unstable personal situation was creating a toxic work environment and questioned my ability to manage critical projects. It was a blatant, vicious attempt to sabotage my career. I immediately met with my director and HR. I calmly laid out the situation. I'm confident this ties to the sudden end of my engagement. My former fiancée isn't taking it well. I assure you my personal life won't impact my professional performance. They appreciated my transparency and, while they had to take it seriously, they clearly suspected the complaint. Source: the attack meant to rattle me only strengthened my resolve. This wasn't just a breakup. It was a war against me. She was about to learn that a project coordinator always has a backup plan. Update 2. The entitlement went nuclear. The HR complaint fizzled after I provided a redacted timeline. My work history spoke for itself, and the complaint was dismissed as malicious. But it showed Sophie's ruthless strategy. Next came an ambush. I spotted Margaret's car on my street. After the gym, I parked a block away and watched as Sophie, Margaret, and her dad, Henry, knocked on my door for nearly an hour. They were trying to storm my home. I stayed in my car and outwaited them. The main battle was over assets. I wired her parents' full wedding contribution back. The response came from Margaret using Henry's email. This is an unacceptable partial payment. We demand reimbursement for our share of all lost deposits, plus a compensation for severe emotional distress and public humiliation. They wanted me to pay for the fallout of their daughter's actions. I forwarded it to Ms. Thompson, my lawyer. Her response was a brilliant legal smackdown stating I owed nothing and further demands would be considered harassment. Their next move was pure absurdity. A courier delivered an itemized bill for $28,450. They'd retroactively charged me for Sophie's presence in my life. It included backdated rent for my own apartment, a $5,000 decor consulting fee for choosing a rug, and a $10,000 fee for emotional support and household coordination. They were trying to reframe our relationship as a paid service I now owed for. The bill ended with a demand for the heirloom ring, valued at an inflated $40,000. Ms. Thompson laughed when I sent it to her. This is amateur nonsense, she said. A scare tactic. But we won't ignore their actions. This is where my revenge shifted from passive to active. We found that Sophie had registered her new event styling business using my apartment as the official address without my knowledge. This was my leverage. Miss Thompson drafted a scathing cease and desist letter, It was a work of art. It demanded she stop using my address for business purposes immediately and provide proof. Within 15 days, it stated all business mail to my address would be marked return to sender. It reaffirmed the ring was a non-negotiable conditional gift, attaching a GI appraisal valuing it at $14,000, accusing them of potential fraud for inflating its value. It noted their absurd invoice would be evidence of harassment and extortion and gave Sophie 10 days to arrange a supervised pickup of her belongings from the building's loading dock. The reaction was volcanic. I got an email from Henry playing peacemaker. Ethan, this has gone too far. The lawyers, the threats, just return the ring and we can all move on. I replied, Henry, talking time is over. Your daughter and wife tried to ruin my career, besieged my home, and attempted extortion. This is with my lawyer. Her letters. Terms are the only terms. The ring is non negociable. He didn't respond. The pickup was set for Saturday. I spent the weekend packing every trace of her. As I sealed the last box, my apartment felt like mine again. The ghost was gone. They started a war of attrition, thinking I'd cave. They misjudged me badly. Final update. It's been 3 months. The war is done. Pickup day was anticlimactic. Sophie didn't show. 2 movers in a battered van collected her 27 boxes from the loading dock and left. She couldn't even face me. The legal threat stopped cold after my lawyer's letter. The fraud accusation, the business address threat, and the documented harassment were enough to shut them down. Bullies crumble when you hit back with facts. The real fallout for them was social and financial. Margaret and Sophie tried to save face. By telling their circle I got cold feet and abandoned Sophie at the altar. It backfired spectacularly. One of Margaret's friends is married to a senior executive at my company. When he heard the story, it didn't align with the anonymous HR complaint and my professional handling of the situation. He told his wife I seemed the stable one. The truth spread like wildfire, exposing them as liars. For people obsessed with image, the public shame was crushing. Financially, they were ruined. They lost money on the non-refundable wedding dress, 6 bridesmaids' dresses, the rehearsal dinner, and more. Tens of thousands gone. All because Sophie couldn't have a grown-up conversation. Her budding event styling business, reliant on her mom's connections, collapsed. No one would hire her. Last I heard, she moved back with her parents. The final piece came from a college buddy. He saw Sophie at an airport during her 4-week break. She wasn't with Emma. She was with her ex, the one she always called a toxic disaster. She hadn't gone to reflect. She'd gone to test drive her old life, planning to fall back on my stability if it didn't pan out. She tried to have it all and ended up with nothing. My life is quiet and mine again. The $12,000 loss stings, but I call it a liberation fee. I sold the rug she picked and got one I like. My grandmother's ring is still in the bank. For a while, it felt cursed. But my cousin recently got engaged. He and his fiancée are great, but strapped for cash. I'm giving them the ring, letting it start a new happy chapter built on real partnership. It's the perfect way to cleanse a family heirloom, erasing the stain of entitlement with genuine love. The revenge wasn't loud or dramatic. It was the cold, precise execution of consequences. She wanted no contact, so I gave her a world of silence. She and her family thought they could bully me into submission, but they weren't facing an emotional mess. They were facing a project coordinator. And when a project is doomed, the only rational move is to cut losses and move forward. My next project is me, and for the first time in years, the future looks clear.